Good morning, children. Today I had explained you our supplementary reader first lesson, A Triumph of Surgery, written by James Herriot. I explained you important points, summary, and the characters of the lesson. So let me give you the introduction of the lesson. The story was written by James Herriot, and the subject of this story is a pet dog which was spoiled by its owner. Spoiled by its owner means here the owner feeds the dog with a lot of food, which is not good for the dog. At the same time, the dog does not have any kind of physical activity. So because of that, the dog becomes so heavy and lethargic and falls sick. Then how a veterinary doctor uh, treated the dog without any kind of surgery. The doctor is a very dedicated doctor and a good doctor. He uses his brain and sympathy to treat the dog without using any kind of surgical weapons. And he treats the dog in such a way that the dog also enjoys the treatment and becomes thin and becomes healthy. So in this simple story, it seems like a very simple story with simple subject, but if we try to read between the words, the story has much significance for our lives as well. So what is that significance? How can we compare this with our lives? So here I would like to tell that many of the kids are pampered by the parents with so many things. It's not only food, they get things what they do not need. So we parents, we think that we should give whatever the child requires before the child requests us. That we think, because I am also a parent, we think that that is a parental love, but it may not be a good thing for this child. Sometimes it may spoil the child also. So here feeding the dog with lots of love and care is not bad, but overfeeding is not good. At the same time, in our real life also, giving many things without any kind of requirement is not good for anybody. So that message we get it. So why do we have to go through this lesson? CBSE board always wants and insists the student to learn more ethical values. So they had taken English as the main subject. So here in English, whatever lesson we have, we will learn so many values, morals, which are going to be useful for our future. Because we strongly believe that you people are our future generation. Our lives depend on you. So you people should grow up with strong ethical values. So after each and every lesson, whatever the moral, I would like you people to understand that and apply it in your real lives. I hope you people will do that. So key points. Before we discuss the key points, I would like to introduce you the characters. Tricky, the name of the dog is Tricky. Tricky is a male dog. So throughout the lesson, Tricky will be referred as he. And the next character is the owner of Tricky. Her name is Mrs. Humphrey. She is a very wealthy an individual lady. Yeah. And the third important character is our doctor. Doctor name is James Herriot, who is a very kind and intelligent doctor. Without using any kind of surgical weapons, he treats the dog and he makes the dog's life very joyful. So here the main story goes like this. Tricky is owned by a lady who is very wealthy and who loves so much her dog. So she gives a lot of food to her dog. Suddenly one day when James Herriot, our doctor, observes the dog, he feels very sad and worried because the dog becomes so heavy. With that overweight, it may fall sick at any point of time. So he goes near to the lady and he advises the lady not to overfeed the dog and also cut short the sweet items. But the lady does not take it seriously. When the dog looks very heavy, then the lady thinks that it is due to malnutrition. So instead of cutting down the food as advised by the doctor, what she does, she gives the dog more food. So the dog eats more and more and becomes sick, and one fine day it rejects the food. Then our lady Mrs. Humphrey gets worried and she calls our doctor, and our doctor was expecting the call very soon because he was sure that the lady will not take his advice. So when he takes the call and when he visits Mrs. Humphrey, and he strictly advises Mrs. Humphrey not to come to his hospital for next 2 weeks because the dog needs a surgery for 2 weeks, and she should not come to see the dog. The reason behind this is the doctor is going to treat the dog in a very natural way without giving any kind of medicine. He planned to give only water which will clean up the body, and also he wanted to have the dog a lot of physical activity along with the other dogs which are kept in the hospital. This lady loves her dog so much. She had so many bowls for separately for the dog. The dog has separate bed sheets day wise, and so many things she had separate for day wise. So if she sees the dog along with the other dogs sleeping in on the normal floor and eating from a common bowl, she may not like it and she may take the dog back to her house, which may end up in the death of the dog. So our intelligent and smart doctor knows everything. So he requests the lady not to come to the hospital. And after taking Tricky to the hospital, he starts his treatment by just giving only water and a normal bowl. And he makes the dog stay along with the other dogs. And slowly Tricky gets habituated to the surroundings and starts playing with other dogs and starts eating the food which was given by the doctor. But in the meantime, our Mrs. Humphrey was so much worried. So for the well-being of the dog, she used to send a lot of food and brandy to the doctor. So doctor, instead of feeding that food to the dog, he enjoys the food along with his colleagues. Does it mean that he is not a nice doctor? No. He doesn't want to spoil the dog by giving this extra food. That is the reason he does not give the food to the dog. So after 2 weeks, the dog recovers well and very happily it goes to the owner. So here I also mentioned the key points separately. So I request everybody to go through the PDF which I shared with you. And also I mentioned the characters, what kind of a lady Mrs. Humphrey was. You must remember Mrs. Humphrey was a very wealthy woman, and she loved her dog so much. She is a single woman, and she used to feed a lot of food to her doctor. Her dog. And coming to James Herriot, a veterinary doctor who loves his customers. Who are the customers? Dogs. And he takes care of all his dogs very well, and also very talented and kind-hearted doctor. He treats Tricky very well, and he avoids using any kind of operation on Tricky to lose its weight, and he makes Tricky's life a joyful life. And how Tricky had recovered is the title of our story, which is A Triumph of Surgery, nothing but victory over surgery. Without any surgery, our Tricky got recovered. That is the title of our lesson. And also I mentioned about Tricky, what kind of dog and how he used to live the life. So I want you to listen to the audio and go to the material what I had provided to you, and be thorough with the lesson. Thank you.